I am here with Scott Smith, the author of Firewire Filmmaking. Scott, thank you so much for coming in.
Good to see you again, Chris.
I understand you just came back from Sundance. How was
I just got back from Sundance. It was great. That little film that won the Audience Choice Award in my category, beat out your segment producer, Mark Miramont, here with a film that he had there as well. So.
Yeah, and you'll have to if the questions get weird, that's probably why.
Yeah. This guy's going to throw me an 8-ball there. Yeah, Sundance was fun. Too cold in Park City, and I'm glad to be back in California where the weather's warm.
But congratulations for winning the award.
Thanks.
And it just kind of did it all start from a hobby? I mean, we've all seen badly shot home movies. You just kind of perfected it over time.
Yeah, and I made a number of these short films last year. The one that went to Sundance was in that bunch, and over the course of shooting so many of them, I learned a lot of little tips and tricks. Some of them which I can share with you today.
Yeah, that's great.
I wanted to bring something by. The last time I was on Call for Help, I got a lot of email from people who said, we showed them how to use Premiere on the system, but sometimes it's just the footage that isn't quite ready. And what we can do is kind of stabilize some of our footage. I have these 3 simple rules that I always tell people. Stand still, shut up, and focus. And I think it may not be the most polite way of saying it, but it's really some very, very good advice.
Okay.
If we stand still, if we stabilize our shot somehow, we'll get much, much better footage. If we're shooting a soccer game or something else. So I brought some tools along that can kind of help us do some of those things, and they're not expensive.
Oh, good.
And they're very, very lightweight.
Yeah, a lot of people, I mean, do you have to buy expensive equipment to make good quality home movies?
No, that would be a problem if you did, because most people won't do that. The other thing is we have a whole generation now of these camcorders in the hands of young kids who are really, on their skateboards, kind of moving through the park, shooting their bungee jumping out of planes with parachutes, and they're taking these very lightweight cameras with them. So it makes sense that the other tools that we bring along would be inexpensive and lightweight as well.
Okay, and you're saying we can use a skateboard as a tool.
Yeah, the skateboard is a great tool to get kind of some professional movement. Once again, the camera has some stabilization features in it, which does a really great job.
Okay.
But if we take, for example, here's a small tripod that you can get down at your local photography equipment store.
Here we go.
This little tripod right here is great for the desktop. It's a great way to keep the camera kind of up and out when you're just doing stuff by the computer. But the great thing about this tripod, $12 down at the store. So it really doesn't cost much. Once we get to our camcorder, almost all camcorders have kind of a universal mount on the bottom of this that'll fit almost any of these tripods.
Okay.
The one thing I like about this little Bogan model, too, is that we can kind of hold it almost as a handle when we're out and about. But if we wanted to put it on something like a skateboard, it's a great way of stabilizing that shot, and then we can get almost kind of dolly movement like we would in a Hollywood feature.
It's nice and smooth, as long as the road is nice and smooth, huh?
I always say it like this because you can stick the camcorder in your cargo pants, put the tripod there, ride your skateboard to the park, and get some really great effects out of something like that.
Okay. Now, this is, it looks like it's a Sony camera.
That's a PC-1. That camera originally was about $600. And, it's a lightweight model that's been replaced now by a couple of other generations of that same camera, but it's very indicative of the kind of camera that people go out and shoot some very good video with.
The big thing is, I mean, image quality is one thing, but what about sound? I know people are always talking in my home movies. Is there a way that I could make that?
Well, I always say, my sister's one of these people that when she's shooting, footage, she'll always kind of have a running commentary. Oh, the people are sitting around the table now, and now we're watching as people move. We don't need to hear that. And what we want to hear is what the people are saying around the table. So I always tell people just, the operator should be the quietest person on the set because they're very, very close to the microphone. Digital cameras are really great. They have a lot of wonderful audio that's already built in. A big unit like this, the XL1.
Oh.
By the way, this is a little stabilization that goes on your shoulder like this. Maybe you can turn this way.
Hey, get a picture of me taking a shot of the camera guy.
What's great about this little shoulder unit, the harness is really only about $40. There's a number of manufacturers that make this, and they can really take the weight off. If you're shooting a soccer game, shooting a sporting event, you're going to be standing there for a long time, so this is really a great way to take the weight off and stabilize that shot at the same time.
And it's not that, honestly, I thought it would be heavier, but it's not that heavy, especially with that shoulder harness.
It's not that heavy. The camera's most of the weight. Oh. Another quick tool, I think, once again, about a $15 item, is this. This is a kind of a periscoping tripod.
Okay.
Well, it's really a unipod, I guess. Well, we can just stick on the ground at one post, and it takes a lot of the movement away from the human hand. It's a great way of stabilizing.
Okay, so instead of like the jitters, it would just basically help you keep it still.
During a soccer game, like I say, a 2-hour soccer game that you're videotaping, this is going to help keep the footage really nice in case you want to get out of the way. You don't have a big tripod there in case the ball comes your way and the kids are coming.
True.
You can move very quickly out of the way with this. I also like this one because it's got 2 legs, so if you wanted to, you could very easily lean it against a table of some sort, and in a way it does become a tripod again.
Wow, that's amazing. Now, these are all tools that are relatively affordable. How could you actually give the image quality more of a cinematic look?
Cinematic look is something that the DV camcorders are pretty good at now. One of the things that happens in DV that kind of reveals its video quality is that the focus is automatic. And so we never really see some of the changes in focus like we do in a feature film. But there is a way to override some of the automatic focus features of your digital camcorder.
Good.
It's with a product called a lens controller. Lens controller looks kind of like this. This is a very popular one from a company called VariZoom. What you do with the lens controller is in the link plug of your DV camcorder, you plug in this attachment, and what it does is it tells the computer, we're going to override with manual controls the automatic features of the camera.
Very cool.
This way now we can toggle back and forth to zoom or to pull back our shot. But what we can also do is adjust some of the focus settings of the camera so that we can change the focus a little bit.
Great. Now, do you actually use these tips in your movies? I understand you've brought some with you.
I brought some footage to show you that these techniques, these very inexpensive, easy to do techniques, are things that I use in the films that I make.
Oh, is that an action figure or a real person?
Yeah, you can see here the toy in the foreground is in focus, but as the shot progresses with the lens controller, we're able to shift the focus to the background character. The boy becomes clear, and the foreground toy is now fuzzy.
Okay.
So we've overridden the camera's functions this way. Also, the dolly shot with the skateboard is something I use all the time, just on a simple desktop. This dolly shot is...
this one here.
Right. This is an easy one where shooting through the spokes of a bicycle and a candelabra there. It's just a small little desktop shot with a skateboard. Now what you can do is combine these tools too. This next shot we'll see the actual skateboard and the focus in this shot. Take a notice of this phonograph in the foreground here. As we move through this shot, that's the phonograph is a foreground object that we've made fuzzy by focusing on the deeper parts of the image.
Just small little things that are built in, you don't use them correctly.
This is the actual phonograph I use. Instead of going out and getting a huge antique phonograph, this one is something that I just very simply put in front of the camera on a surface like this, and by moving the skateboard back and forth, I was able to create a foreground object that looked like it was life-size, and yet keep all the background in focus. Some of those easy tricks will help make your movies a little more cinematic.
Very cool. Where can people go to learn more about this stuff?
Well, I do have a book called Firewire Filmmaking that does a number of these tips are included.
This one here, I said Firewire.
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 That's how they say it in the South.
There we go. Thanks, Scott, for coming in again.
Sure, Chris.
We appreciate the tips.
These tips are also on the Call for Help site as well.
Great. So be sure to swing by there, techtv.com/call-for-help. Scott's written that article. Tons of tips. And, of course, the book Firewire Filmmaking at bookstores everywhere and, of course, online.